Welcome back to The Chosen Life. I'm your host, The Chosen Lawyer. And today we have an episode which has been in the works for weeks, if not for months. We had a recent launch, a very exciting extension to our show and to our brand, and very excited to bring in the producer, co writer, composer, pretty much everything when it comes to the theme song of The Chosen Lawyer, our good friend, Mr. Ron Lopata. Ron, welcome to The Chosen Life.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
How many years now have we known each other, Ron?
Uh 300 hold on. We've known each other quite a while. We've known each other quite a while. Well, I think it dates back to like you and my brother actually have been best of friends for a long time. So literally I've met you since you guys have been friends, which has been probably I'd say, I don't know, upwards of 30 years that we've kind of known each other, but known each other more in the last while. Yes.
Absolutely. It's been over 30 years that you and I have known each other in various capacities through, like you said, through your brother. And it's amazing, we go through life, all of us growing up and, joining the world of sports and music, and you got to go off and experience, the dream. You're always very talented in music and, hearing you play and, seeing your life trajectory. I always said, he's gonna make it in the music business. I really believe that. And taking a look at your resume, artist, producer, pianist, composer, A&R. I needed to Google this because I'm not in the world of music, even though I am technically now a co-writer, according to SoCan. But A&R, artist and repertoire representative, is responsible for finding promising new artists for a record label or music publisher to sign. Ron, do you ever pinch yourself and say, "Am I living a dream here, or I actually get to do this for a living?"
Yes. I got to do it for a solid 12 years, and before that, I did it independently. But you know what? It started off as a passion, where when I was a freelance record producer and writer, every year I would take a couple of artists that I really believed in, and I would work with them, and I would tell them, "Look, I think if we work together, I can get you a record deal." And so every year I'd pick a couple, and lo and behold, year after year, I get these artists signed. And eventually, the president of the company took me out for coffee one day and asked me if I would be interested in working in the A&R in the company. And it was actually a dream come true. That belief was incredible, and it allowed me to bring artists to the table and sign them to record deals, and with an entire team there, really work together as a group to bring out the vision of the artists and their dreams as well, and bring our expertise in terms of like a conglomerate that has a lot of connections, investment money, know-how and experience, and hopefully get some levels of success that they and us can benefit from.
So you're giving back to the community and you're helping to grow music by discovering and growing these talents, which is incredible. And you're obviously the real McCoy because I see all sorts of colored albums behind you. So the guy's made it when he's got the albums on the wall. Gotta ask you, because it's called The Chosen Life for a reason. And it's supposed to inspire people to find their chosen life, live their chosen life, and hear how others did it. So growing up, in the mean streets of Thornhill, Ontario, Canada, which point were you like? Were you one of those that was born and from the minute you started walking, you're like, I'm gonna be in the music business, or is that something that you figured out later? Like when you were 5, 7, 10, do you remember what you wanted to be for a living when you grew up?
Yeah, it's funny because when I grew up, with the aid of my parents, actually, they really, supported me in terms of music. I went to the conservatory and I was on scholarships, and I got my classical music performance degree by the time I was 17. But after that, oddly enough, I was going to be a doctor. That was the plan. That was what it was supposed to be. And I went to U of T. I was going to go to medical school, and I was doing all sciences. And one day, this is a true story. Listen to this. I was in the Med Sci building in the basement, and we were dissecting, and it was a human brain, I believe. and I was dissecting human brain and doing all this stuff. And I think I was maybe eating a little snack or treat. And I looked at the brain and I looked at myself and I went, what am I doing here? I don't know that this is what I want to do. So 10 minutes away, a 10-minute walk away was the Royal Conservatory where I grew up and played piano as a kid. So I packed up my stuff. I went down the road to the conservatory, rented a room, and played piano for about 5 or 6 hours. And that was the beginning of the beginning and the beginning of the end. That was it. I knew I wanted to do music. And after that, I knew that in this life, music was it. So after U of T and getting a science degree, I went to Humber and I studied jazz piano. And then I graduated from there. And then I moved to the UK and immersed myself in just making music for a couple of years and came back. And then I did various things here. I had a band of my own and I was producing and I was writing. And then I joined a band called Jacksoul, which we'll probably talk about later. But as a kid, you know what? I always thought, I did music and I liked it. I loved it more when I was a teenager. When I had a band in high school, that was like really that really changed my life. It gave my high school days like a much more positive environment. I had these, it was like just not just friends, it was this creation of music, and just gave me self-confidence, and it gave me a group of friends to express ourselves, and so I think there was music, and then there wasn't music, and then there was music again, and then it was sciences, and then there was music again, and it just always kept coming back to music. So eventually that's the road taken. And sometimes it takes time to figure it out. But I'll tell you this, John.
Yes, please.
If I wasn't in music, I'd probably be a doctor.
Wow. Dr. Lopata to A&R. I would have never guessed it. I've known you all this time and I had no clue whatsoever. And it's really funny because for all the 30 plus years we've known each other, we bonded over a few months in songwriting together. We spent more time together during songwriting than we did in 30 plus years. So go figure how life kind of works out that way. I have so many questions that go through my mind as you've been saying this. So one of the first things, and I know people are dying to know this, throughout your life, Ron, and everything you've accomplished and how much you immersed in music, can you point to a handful or even like, let's say up to 5 individuals or groups that were your musical influences throughout growing up, or was it more later in life? But can you point to in any genre at all, talents of people you could say, you know what, hearing these people either live or on CD, 8-track, whatever, these are the musical influences that help shape my musical life?
Yeah. So you're talking about not people in my circle, but people like out there that have like when they put out music, I went, whoa, this is inspiring to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know I had
All
my
right.
musical moment, but I'm one song barely. You are a lifetime of it. So
Yeah.
I got to know who you listen to that help shape you.
Yeah. Well, I'd say, I'm trying to recollect here, but I'm going to say when I first started doing music. So um it's funny, the first, like as a kid, obviously, I was immersed in classical music. That's what I surrounded my family did. But I think it was one of my birthdays in when I was a teenager. The first non-classical record I ever got was a friend gave me for my birthday was Supertramp. And I literally was like, what is this? And I would listen to it. It was even in the quietest moments, which is fairly random.
I was gonna guess
But
Breakfast in America, but sure.
yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I put it on and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it sounds cool. It's like really different. And one of my other friends who lived in my building also was a big Supertramp fan. I remember as a kid, we would just play table hockey and he would always put on Supertramp. And I was like, okay. Not that Supertramp really was a big influence. It was just the first I think music outside of classical music that kind of like affected me somehow. And I didn't think about it until really right now on your show. But it was the first non-musical thing. And obviously it has a bunch of keyboards, especially Rhodes and Wurlitzers and stuff like that. So and piano. But I would say then it was like, there were some pop bands like Duran Duran and stuff like that that came out because, it was just high school and girls like Duran Duran. And it was the first concert I ever went
Guys
to.
too.
Yeah, it was
Duran
guys
Duran was
too.
awesome.
Yeah, it was the first concert I ever went to with 7 girls. And I was like, sure, I'll go. Sure, I'll be a part of this. And at the time, it was
Thanks
just
for the invite, Ron, by the way.
yeah. So I would have extended it, but no room. So there was an 8 ticket maximum. um so anyways, but I'll say this for okay, so let's go back to like piano. I'm going to go really into piano, and I will say that the first piano influence for me was Billy Joel. Bar none, Billy Joel was the guy who first did it. And then it was, obviously there's Billy Joel and there's Elton John. But as a kid, first it was Billy Joel because some of the I was really into like playing hard technical stuff. And Billy Joel just had some songs like Angry Young Man or Scenes from an Italian Restaurant where the piano parts were just hard. So I loved playing it because it was a little show offy and it was a little bit whatever and all that stuff. So I would say Billy Joel was like my first like real identifiable. I went, this is an influence. And then obviously Elton John as well, because as a piano player, that's what I listened to. So I'll put that as kind of like, there might have been a couple predecessors, but I'm going to say that was a main one. I'm going to say U2 and Bono, oddly enough. I just looked up to that band as a creative unit that stood for something, had a strong message. They were great live, and I just followed their trajectory. I went to like so many U2 shows back in the day that for me, it was definitely a big influence. And out of that influence was a record producer named Daniel Lanois. And he, I guess best known maybe for, doing U2's Joshua Tree album and some subsequent albums as well with U2, as well as doing like Peter Gabriel's So album and stuff like that. And I guess he became my first hero in terms of like being a record producer, So I think he was like a big influence for quite a while. So I'd say Billy Joel, Elton John, and then I would say like U2, and then I would say Daniel Lanois. So that's 4. And then if I have to go to a 5th one, I don't know whether I'd say somebody like, Prince. Yeah, somebody like Prince. A multi-instrumentalist who's phenomenal on piano, who's a phenomenal on guitar, phenomenal, like just overall musician, singer. I will say Michael Jackson as well for a while in terms of like the entire entertainment value that he brings and all the stuff that he did. But Prince being a little bit more of like that artist as well, but more like that guy was a genius in terms of playing the instruments too, which I was really into. So I'd say those are definitely major inspirations for me. There are
some
more,
very,
but
very strong ones.
yeah,
those are great influences.
Yeah. So I'd say like, again, like as a piano player, I think there are only like so many, that I gravitated to, that I feel like really shaped me. And then of course I branched into a whole lot of other things, but I'm gonna stick to those 5 in terms of being really big influences on me as I grew up.
Now, I know looking at social media, my next question, I know one is answered partially because I know you did meet Duran Duran. I did see the picture. That's awesome, by the way.
Yes.
I remember that I was applying for articling in positions when I was about to graduate law school. And there was a week of interviews, mainly centered around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you had to go to these interviews all day. And then if you're lucky, you got to go to dinners, to go to dinners with the law firms at night. I skipped the Wednesday dinners because Duran Duran was coming to the amphitheater in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I said, I would much rather go to Duran Duran than to stick to a stuffy law dinner. And that was a great choice. And I had an amazing time. They were fantastic. This was like now, 20 years ago. And they're still going strong. Aside from Duran Duran, did you meet any other of your influences? Did you ever meet Billy Joel?
I never got to meet Billy Joel, not yet. I would like to one day. I think there's one. There are some that I was like, I'm afraid to meet them just in case it lets me down.
Mhm.
So I did. Bono was one of those that I go like, I'd like to meet him, but hopefully, that's cool. I just saw Bono do a really interesting. He was just doing his book tour, and he did just an absolutely incredible interactive kind of like experience that I saw just about a month ago at the Meridian Hall here, which was pretty mind blowing, I thought. So okay, so Bono. So is it? Who else would I want to meet?
No, or did you meet? Did you actually
Oh,
meet them?
I met Duran Duran. I met Ed Sheeran a couple times. That was through the label. So I have photos also with him backstage. Really saw him. I think it was the first time he was actually in Canada. He opened up for Snow Patrol at Massey Hall, and we got to go backstage and meet him. He was just, wearing his casual, like, sweatshirt and like, glasses and stuff like that.
He's a watch guy. He's a watch guy too, apparently. So he likes his watches.
Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good. I love that.
Yes.
Um,
I know all sorts of useless information like that.
Oh, it's not useless. I'm actually into it. I'm only wearing my this one today, but I have another one upstairs that I really love. But I'm into watches too. But yes.
Once we're calling them timepieces. We become
Oh, sorry.
timepiece connoisseurs.
Timepiece.
Timepiece.
I like it. The TPCs.
Yes.
Yeah, so okay, so like Ed Sheeran, Duran Duran, who else?
What is Mr. LeBon like in real life?
Really tall.
Really?
Tall and a hulking person. Like, dude, I was so surprised when we met him backstage. This guy is just a huge person. And I'm not talking like not fat or anything. Like he's like in shape and all that stuff. But
everybody know this is Simon LeBon, lead singer of Duran Duran.
Yes. Yeah. He is just a huge guy. Like I'm telling you, that guy could have played football. Been on like honestly, he is just like taller than everybody, bigger than everybody. And I was just like stunned because I didn't think so. I was just like, okay, Simon LeBon, you'd figure he's just like, but meeting him in person, man, that guy is just a huge presence. So that was kind of whatever, and super, like really super nice. Met him and John Taylor. I think those are the main. I think maybe Andy as well. Nick wasn't around. But yeah, it was really nice backstage. Got to meet them, and that was really cool. Who else do we meet? Michael Bublé, who's always super nice and super hilarious. The most hilarious guy in showbiz, I think. Probably.
He looks like a guy that literally, the expression laughing all the way to the bank? Yeah. I think he actually looks at his bank account and laughs all the way to the bank every day.
Well, I would. If I was him, I would anyway. So like I would laugh. I'd look at so much money. But no, he's super funny every single time and very generous and very just can't say enough. Just really great guy. So those are the ones that kind of like come to mind. Sure there are others, but they're just not popping into my head right now.
Well, we got some follow-up questions here because so much is running through my head. So
sure.
I'm going to switch around the question for a second because we're going to finish off with Duran Duran. I'm going to ask you a very controversial question now. Okay. What do you think about this? Duran Duran, boy band, yes or no?
No.
I agree with you. I think it's preposterous to call them a boy band. In your professional opinion, why are they not a boy band?
They're not a boy band because first thing, it's not manufactured. It wasn't put together through auditions or finding people, whatever. No, but these guys got together themselves. They met each other in Birmingham and they became a group. That's number one. Number two, why aren't they a boy band? They are legit, write their own music. Simon LeBon writes most of the lyrics, if not all of the lyrics, if I'm not mistaken. They write all their own music. They're not stuff that's like crafted out here, sing the song or do this kind of thing. They're not given, this is their own sound, their own art, their own kind of stuff. So that's number two for me. They play their own instruments. They have a vision that they go into the studio with what they want to do with a producer that they want to work with, and they have their sound. It's not somebody else that comes in and superimposes a sound and saying, here's what you're doing, and you sing this part, and you do this part, and you do this part. No, 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 no. They are a legit act. They might have called them a boy band because they're good looking and they dressed a certain way, whatever. That's it. But the credentials or like some of the ingredients that I think it differentiates what a boy band is as opposed to what a band is different. I find them definitely tick off too many boxes of these are legit true artists. And not to say a boy band can't be true artists, but I'm just saying the legit artist in terms of the points that I just said make me feel like it's not a boy band.
All right. Second pattern just popped into my head for this because it's only so many parters to these things. In that, and I agree with your view 1,000%. I can't see Duran Duran any slight resemblance to a boy band except for the look. But what's your take on Hanson then? In their peak, were they a boy band?
Uh, I don't know too much about Hanson. They're brothers, right?
Yes, and they sang
Yeah.
Mbop.
Yeah, they sang Mba. You know, I don't their career is too short for me to really say anything about them. I haven't met them. I don't know too much about them. I was never really into them. Um,
Neither was I,
again,
surprisingly, but I did like
there,
Mbop.
yeah, there's the one song. Duran Duran has 15 plus hits, 15, 20
Easy,
plus hits.
easy.
We're not talking about one. We're talking a band that was legitimately at the forefront for over a decade and arguably spanned into at least a couple of decades and continues to make music, continues to do that. Sell out arenas, was at the top of global, a success. So I can't compare the two. I would just say that uh, for the Hanson brothers, I'm not sure.
They're still going, apparently, and we wish them the best of luck. I'm going to tell you now my aha music moment. I can trace it back very clearly. And there's one band, always been my favorite. I don't know if I ever told you the story or not, but this will shock you. So I'm 7 years old, approximately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Sesame Street Live. That was my favorite album. This was on a record at the time.
Yep.
And I recall one day passing by my brother's room and the radio was playing. And there's a song, and I've never heard it before. And I thought it was very intriguing. I didn't know who the band was, what the song title was, but it really stuck out to me. And I did figure it out at some point, and it was Light My Fire by the Doors.
Mm-hmm.
At 7 years old, I was hooked, and I'm like, I get this completely. And I've been a Doors fanatic ever since. Blows me away the concept of being able to come up with 6 albums like that in the span of 5 years. I think, we'll never see anything like that again in our lifetimes. Jim Morrison, one of the greatest songwriters, singers ever. So I became an obsessed Doors guy, plus Sesame Street Live. Does that shock you?
No. I went through a huge Doors phase, massive, and I'm still a huge fan of the Doors and what they've accomplished. Again, there are very few acts that have created that kind of body work in such short a time. I might put the Beatles in there. There's a couple of other acts that would probably put in that short time frame, but look, Sesame Street is undeniable. I mean, they have hooks upon hooks, and who doesn't love Sesame Street? I mean, lots of good messages, lots of good stories, lots of good great characters. And let's face it, Jim Morrison and the Doors, some people love him, some people hate him, whatever, but I will say at the time, it was exciting, it was rebellious. It's what the young generation, people of a young generation look for because they're trying to find their own identity. And again, whether you like it or not, it's like, I think it was like such an interesting array of musicians that came together. And the mix of the music to create their blues was like incredible. And some of the stuff that Jim Morrison, whether talked about or wrote about in his songs and his demeanor and his whole thing was just rebellious and exciting, made headlines. And that's part of the thing. It's, one of the main things here is, it's not just music, it's entertainment. So there's the music side, which you go is great. And then there's the entertainment side, which was also captivating, right? Not to say that everything was, according to the law at that point, but now you look at it and you go like, now it's like, yeah. So he did some stuff. But I will say this: I went backpacking when I was about 25 years old, and at that time, I left the home. I was like, I don't need to take any music with me or whatever. And literally within 2 days, I was in Paris, and I was like, I'm dying without listening to music. So I bought like a Sony Walkman, and first, uh, first cassette. This is dating me back, but first cassette I found was The Doors, Morrison Hotel, and I bought it, and I would listen to that literally for a month nonstop. Both sides, just keep going, keep going, keep going, on repeat, on repeat. And it was the soundtrack. Literally, I still remember every time I hear it, it's the soundtrack to my backpacking days.
And
So,
you can
anyways,
visualize
long
it.
story. I know
Yeah.
I'm rambling, John, but the fact that you like The Doors, the fact that you like Sesame Street, I give that a 2 thumbs up.
I mean, find me a better song than C is for Cookie or Rubber Ducky, You're the One. I remember it, for people who are listening in the States or anywhere in the world right now, there was a band that came out of Canada called The Tea Party. Canada,
Yeah.
and the Tea Party. And I remember when they came out with their album, and Jeff Martin, JM, by the way, if you recall the initials,
Oh, yeah.
when he sings and you close your eyes, you thinking Jim Morrison is singing. He even had the look of Jim Morrison, and he spent his whole lifetime debunking these similarities. And I remember watching an interview with him once, and it was a very famous interview because they were talking about the comparisons, and he said, I think that Jim Morrison was a shitty poet at best. And I'm like, all righty, but it got him some headlines for certain. But I always thought, you know what? If I were him, I would just have embraced it. I would have grabbed the leather pants and just done some covers and had a good time with it. But that was not his inkling.
Yeah, look, every artist wants to, wants their artistry to be seen a certain way. That's what they believe. And, some people say, oh, he was a shitty poet. It's like, to you and to other people, he was a great poet. It's like art is like somebody says they like it and someone says they hate it. It's like anything. It's like, it's people's tastes. You either like a painting or you don't like a painting. Someone says, this is incredible. And someone says, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. It's all very subjective. And so, I'm always like, well, he's shitty poetry. It's like, not to you. And to other people, it represents something else. So I'm one to say, create the art that you want to create. And then your fans are going to be your fans, and your non-fans, and your fans. Never has there been a piece of art that everybody loves.
I'm going to tell you, like, my opinion at least, and everybody's different on this, but as I consider my written words as art. And I find in art, the worst thing for me is when there's no reaction whatsoever. That's what kills me. When literally it's out there and nobody even cares and nobody cares to comment. If it has like a million negative comments about it, but people are reacting to it and they have a strong opinion and they express that why, I'm very happy about that. If they have a positive opinion or a negative opinion, I just want to invoke reaction out of them. And if it can bring that kind of a strong emotion, I've won regardless. That's how I see it. But I know people sometimes don't like criticism. They take it very personal. But, it's all our own meter of how much we can withstand, I guess. But I think there's nothing more gratifying than somebody saying, you know what, this is garbage, and here's why it's garbage, and they outline all the stuff, and then somebody else comments on it, and then they start debating it. I think creating those kind of conversations, and you were the starting point, I think is fantastic.
I agree. Hey, do you like Darth Vader?
I'd like to meet him, sure.
It's like Darth Vader. He's an evil character, or is he not? Is he a good character?
We're torn. We're torn with that one.
He's exactly. I'm one of those things. Is like, yes, it's just silence is the worst.
Bingo.
Silence is the worst. At least talk about it. And again, you have. I always tell artists, and I always tell friends, and I tell my kids, and I tell everybody, not everyone's going to like you, and not everyone's going to hate you. Some people are going to love you, and some people aren't. It's fine. That's the world. It's okay. Cool. Everyone gets to choose what they want to do. Try and be nice about it. Try to be nice to each other, but but you do want to have, at least if you can invoke some reaction or something that makes it noticeable. I agree with you.
It's like Ric Flair says, you can like me or you can hate me, but learn to love me because I'm the greatest thing going today.
Woo. Yes.
My biggest regret in the music realm is the one concert I did not attend, and I knew it was a big mistake at the time. It was back in the year 2002, I would say. And the Doors had a reunion. They were called the Doors of 2000 or something like that. Anyways, there was something around the Doors in 2000. And so part of them reunited and they went on this tour and they were getting sued by the estate of Jim Morrison and sued by, I think Krieger didn't attend it, if I'm not mistaken. And so, but they still went on and they did come to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I said, oh boy, I need to go to this show. But I had tickets to go to the Dominican. And I said to my partner at the time, well, I think you should go to Dominican, maybe take a friend. I need to go to this concert. And they said to me, if you do not get on that plane, this relationship is over. When that relationship eventually was over, years later, I said, first thing I said, should have gone to that concert. I knew I should have gone to that concert because not everybody's alive now. And then, I mean, when the keyboardist passed away, Ray Manzarek, it was done. That's it. There's not going to be, to me, Ray Manzarek with the keyboarding, that's the Doors. You bring three other guys and, have whoever you want to sing as the lead singer. But there's something about the soul of his keyboarding, which I think drew me almost the most about them. So I never got to go to that show. I have a bad feeling or a good feeling for you that you did attend it. True or false?
I didn't attend, but I think wasn't the singer, wasn't it Ian from the Cult?
Ian Astbury, correct. Yeah. So they actually had a performance where they brought on like 12 or 14 lead singers, including Scott Weiland, who sang Break On Through. And it was really cool because hearing different styles of singers trying to do these songs, I believe it came down to Astbury or Weiland, and for I think more reliability purpose, I would guess, but they were drawn to Ian Astbury. And you know what? Going back, and I encourage any Doors fan, watch this on YouTube. Ian killed it. He was really good. He put on the leather pants. He embraced his inner Jim Morrison and just went for it. And that was a lot of fun. So you did not get to attend that one.
I didn't get to attend that one. And I'll tell you what I mean, there have been a lot of, obviously, acts that have come and gone and I haven't seen yet. But in fairness, I've seen a lot of concerts, in my lifetime. I've pretty much seen everybody I want to see and everyone you can see. There's only a couple maybe that I haven't, that I'm still, going. But I would say probably at the top that I had, and again, there are a couple that I would have want to seen, but I was too young, so I'm going to put that aside. But when I was of age where I could go to see concerts, it was Nirvana. Definitely, by far, I look at like bands that I could have seen because I know they came to Maple Leaf Gardens. I was like, I should see Nirvana, and I was like, now you know what? I'll just catch them next time. I'll catch them next time they come over here, and then that was it. But. Yeah, but everyone else, I think pretty much I've seen, from David Bowie to Prince to you name it, Paul McCartney, John Lennon. I think it was just too young. I would have loved to see Bob Marley, too young. Michael Jackson's one I wish I would have seen, but there was only literally one tour when he came. Remember, it was that tour with all his brothers. I forget is at Exhibition Stadium.
As a Jackson 5?
Yeah. And they love so it was once in Toronto, and to be honest with you, it was just like impossible to get tickets. It was absolutely impossible. So I give myself like a little bit of a free pass for that one. But yeah, Bob Marley I would have want to seen. I would have want to seen Michael Jackson. I've pretty much seen everyone else I want to see, except I would have wanted to see Nirvana just because I would have wanted to.
You've been to, I'm sure, thousands of shows at this point in your life?
Yeah.
Easy?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to see the Stones?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny because in my mind, and this was not from my generation, but I always had this in my head. And then one day I'm walking into HMV. I'll remember HMV when there was such a thing as a music store. And I see a book and it says Beatles versus Stones. And I always used to ask people, are you a Beatle or you're a Stone? I didn't realize that was a thing, but that was very much a thing.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, are you a Beatle or you're a Stone?
I'm a Beatle.
I'm a Stone.
Now, that's not to say I don't like the Rolling Stones. I do, and I respect them, and I'm a big fan of what they do. But Beatles, uh, uh, for me, if you think about it, the Beatles, their their body of work, really, of what they done was under a decade. That's it. Think about that. The Stones have been around till now, and they've made some great music and all that kind of stuff.
And they're
But
still going. They're still going.
they're still going, right? But the Beatles were like basically, for the most part, I believe 62 till 70. That's 8 years. And then they split up, right? And I look at where they started and the evolution of what that band did and what they have done. And if you look at some of their music, even from early on to like what they did on the White Album, what they did on Abbey Road, what they did on Rubber Soul, you could listen to them and you could argue that songs like Helter Skelter, kind of like some of their song literally opened the door to hard rock music or metal, or like there's even a couple songs where you could go drum and bass, kind of like they did trumpet. They did so much stuff that was groundbreaking that I can't put anybody in that kind of like bucket. And again, I like the Rolling Stones for what they did, and I like them for their rebelliousness, and I love them for their energy and stuff like that. But musically, in terms of like opening the door and being like really experimental and just doing a plethora of like really unique and diverse things in that amount of time, it's crazy. And when you look at that band of like John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and come on, fuck, I can't believe I
Paul
missed.
McCartney, John Lennon.
Hold on. Oh my god, what's his name? It's just killing me. Hold on. Tell me. Hold on.
George.
George Harrison. Oh my god, that was like a real seriously brain fog. So, anyways,
Very concerned.
between those guys, what they did together and then what they've done even beyond separately is just it's just unbelievable, like unbelievable. And so that's why for me, the Beatles, I still put on those records. I'd say just more than the Rolling Stones, but again, both are great bands, great bands. But there's something
On
about that.
true story, I'm dating this girl, my first serious girlfriend, and the Beatles came up, and her first thing to me was, "Who are the Beatles?" I said, "What?" She goes, "Who are the Beatles?" So I said, "John Lennon?" She goes, "Who's that?" He was in the Beatles? I said, "That's like not knowing who the Pope was." And I said, I think this relationship is over. I broke up with her over the fact that she did not know who the Beatles or John Lennon was. I couldn't deal with that.
It's like not knowing who the Pope was. Who's the Pope?
So I don't know his real name now, but we do have a new Pope. But his Swatch watch just sold at auction for a record amount for a Swatch watch ever sold. Useless information.
Really?
Yes. What I can't get past the Beatles is "She Loves You, Yeah, 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 I Want to Hold Your Hand." And to me, they're quasi boy bandish, and I can't get past that stage of them. But I know they're edgier, and I know they had their evolution. And I wasn't around the Beatles time, and I just know I heard the Stones music. It really spoke to me, and I've never gone to see the Stones, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I was always more
Well,
of a Stones guy. But I respect the Beatles, and I see what they're about,
yeah.
obviously, and their music is gonna for generations to come. Long when Sir Paul McCartney is no longer with us in the future, the Beatles will be around to the end of time.
Yeah. No, those earlier songs, those were early songs. They were like in the youth and all that kind of stuff. I don't really listen to that much anymore.
Right.
I don't listen to. I mean, obviously when I was younger, but to be honest with you, I don't listen to it at all. For me, it's the later music. It's the music from Let It Be. It's the music from like the White Album. It's the music from Abbey Road, stuff like that. That's really where the Beatles for me kind of like lies. It's just like some incredible songs. But again, um, Put me
Come
on
Together. I
some.
mean, that's the one song that really like spoke to me with them. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, like
I
it's
can
so
put that
edgy.
on any time and I
Yes.
can't shut it off
How
anytime.
many movies has that been on the soundtrack? Like come to wow.
That is like incredible. That one's an incredible one. Even the slow song like Blackbird, on the acoustic guitar. I know even guys like Dave Grohl. I listened to his audiobook of his book, and he was a huge fan. I know he sang that, I think, with his daughter, stuff like that. There's just like some timeless stuff. But look, there's sometimes I go like, hey, put on the Stones vinyl and I love it and listen to it, and it goes makes so much sense and I love it. But again, going down to that music thing, I think there's just some Beatles stuff that maybe I relate to a little bit more. But you know, hey, maybe it's also the piano player in me. There's more piano in the Beatles than there is in the Stones. Maybe I gravitate to that. I don't know.
That's fair.
So anyway.
Speaking of a song that speaks to people and soundtracks, so your brother connects you and I together because I talk out of my butt and I said, I've always had an item on my bucket list. And telling your brother this, I want to create a theme song. I've always wanted to write my own theme song, have a theme song, and put it out there. Love to do that one day. He says, hey, speak to my brother. So you and I connect together one day, and I bring you the idea. I said, I got this podcast, Chosen Life. I'm the chosen lawyer, got the flexing going. Let's make a theme song. What do you think about that? What was your reaction, Ron, when you heard that idea?
I was like, yeah. I was like, this is fun. Let's talk about this. So then I remember going like, hey, this is cool. Look, myself, even as a music guy, whether it's writing, producing, or whatever I'm doing in music, it's music. And like I always love working on new things, new projects and stuff that maybe like I haven't done or haven't done in a while, or like it's a new kind of thing. I love that you wanted to do that kind of theme song. And I loved when we talked about it that you said, look, I like, as kids, we all were into wrestling because it was massive then, still massive now. But even as kids, I remember like, for me, it was like Hulk Hogan, Randy Macho Man Savage. That was my day and age of, I remember going to WrestleMania when it was like at Maple Leaf Gardens at the time, and watching. And then when you sent me some YouTube links with some of those old school kind of like wrestling themes, I was like, yeah, it just kind of like brought me back and go like, wow, this was some super fun, high energy stuff that, when you play that music and the wrestlers walk on, you can't help but get amped. And so when we had that discussion, I was really excited about the potential of working on something like that because what's not fun about that?
I gotta say, in the future, whether I'm gonna go to the gates of heaven or the depths of hell, and somebody will be there to meet me, and they'll say, "In that lifetime, you were just there on the earth. What was your most fun moment that you got to enjoy there?" I gotta say, working with you and learning and seeing how a song is made from beginning to end and hearing the final product, that was the most fun I ever had in my life, by far.
Amazing. That's so good to hear. And look, whether you go up there, down there, I think you got to play the music because everyone will be like, "Holy shit, who's coming out?" Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Hold on.
Well, I
Holy.
don't think that's really cool, quite a swear
Oh,
word anymore, but yes.
no. Anyways, they go like, "What's that?" You go down there, but being a lawyer, I'm sure you can talk you into go like, they gave me the wrong ticket. Something's happened. I got to go up there. It's the wrong kind of like thing. I'm going to sue you, whatever. And they go, you know what? Just let this guy go to heaven. It's fine. It's like, let him go. But yeah, it's like, it's so fun. I still play it and hear it on your podcast. And I think it's a great, I think it's a great track. I think it was super fun, super energy, like lots of hooks. I had a blast working on it. I loved the back and forth that we had in the creation of it. I think your ideas were like incredible, and it's always fun working with artists and people who know what they like or what they're looking for. So it was really good. I'm super happy with how it turned out. So that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty neat that like, the music part, the instrumental part gets made, then you put the words together and then you find the blend of it. And every time I would send you like a response or something, I'm like, okay, I know I got no experience in this, but I'm thinking we need some spoken words here. We need to fill this part, or maybe this can get tweaked a little bit. And I was like, oh, I hope I don't offend. And you're like always very receptive to the changes. The one change I thought for sure you're gonna like call me out on is I said the song just kind of ends. And to me, a song is never complete until there's an evil laugh at the end, you know, like Thriller, of course. But I'm like, this song needs an evil laugh. Can we please put an evil laugh in here? And you did not call me out on that or like hang up the phone. You're like, all right, I hear you. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, here's three different versions of laughs. And I'm like, well, this is kind of like a jolly laugh. This is almost like an apologetic laugh. There's the evil laugh. And it just ties up the song nicely because you just need an evil laugh. That's it.
I thought you were right. That's it. End of story. It's like the evil laugh was required. And yeah, it's like, I always say to vocalists or artists is like, okay, we want an evil laugh or we want a spoken word. Can you give me a couple of options? And I usually like three options because one of them is just going to be better than the other two. And it just is. And why wouldn't I pick the best one? Because if someone gives you one, there's no option. It's just like, okay, well, that's it. But I go like, give me three. One of them is going to be the best one or right one, or we can give direction and go from there. But I think that call for the evil laugh is great. And it worked on Thriller. And I think it's perfect here too. I love it.
And you got to have that one guitar bass heavy solo that really gets you amped up about on the halfway 3/4 mark. Our song has that. It's freaking amazing. And of course, you have to have the catchy chorus.
Yes.
And at my gym, we have a wrestling playlist. So we take the wrestling theme songs we love, and when I come to work out, that's what gets played in the gym, the wrestling playlist. And it got added to the wrestling playlist. And I actually had people sing in the corner, and all of a sudden it comes on, and they're like, all of a sudden, close the deal. I am the destroyer. And they're like dancing and they're like bobbing and like they love that catchy. I knew, Ron, I knew we were working well as a team. When you sent me the first draft, when I saw you rhyming destroyer and lawyer there, I'm like, man, the team's put this together. This is it. And I knew we were on the right track.
Yeah. No, I think it worked really, really well. I think it's like super in keeping like stylistically with what it is. I think it's super hooky. Uh, do you want it to be simple enough that people really get it and sing along and you go, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. It makes sense, nothing cheesy. It has to be legit and feel right. So I think we kind of like nailed it. And I know we made some tweaks to some other parts, which I always look at songwriting as like any kind of writing. It's like, here's a first draft. Now, where's everything where it's really good? What do we keep and where do we have to like adjust? Where do we have to maneuver some things? Edit until it's like, okay, this tells the story we want to tell. This has the energy we want to have. Where do we gonna do? And then, like you said, let's add a spoken word part. Let's add a laugh, and then suddenly it all came together. Even when we went back and forth with some guitar solo options, the process was just beautiful, and it was easy. It's always easy to work with someone who knows what they like and knows what they want. And that was great because you knew, I love this, I don't love this, it's missing this. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. You want from any artist, you want from anybody you're working with. The hard part is when someone goes, I don't like it. And then you go, okay, so what would you like? And then they go, I don't know. It's like, those are the tough ones. It's like, but when we know what we like, when we know what's going on, it's like, then it's good. So, it was so good, man. So good.
And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive as far as, people in their 20 to 50 range, that are into working out or into high energy, they all love it. They're like, man, that pumps me up. This is fantastic. It's cool. It fits with the theme. I had a family member come to me, a close family member, and said, you know, I don't understand the song. It is so loud. Why is he yelling? Can't you just make it softer? Can't he be nicer, like a warmer song? I don't get it. And then my response was, don't worry, you're not my target demographic. That was about it.
Yeah. Let me switch on the show for you to watch. Okay. They go, why is he hitting him with a chair? Why can't he just sit him at the chair and give him some food? No, that's not what wrestling is. um Uncle Joe, it's like they're they're pile driving each other. Okay. So, anyways, I think, again, context and audience. Do you know what I mean? This is what it's meant for. And then they go, oh, okay, I get,
If a person is not into wrestling, you'll never be able to explain to them why wrestling is good and why wrestling is cool, and you're just not going to go there. And this, for people when they're listening to it, to put the context, this was clearly based on a wrestling theme song. We put wrestling themes. You asked me what were my favorite songs. I sent you all the wrestling theme songs, like the top 5 that I loved the most. The visualization of it was this song plays out. I could come out as a wrestler, a boxer, whatever. Getting interviewed by Jimmy Kimmel, and that's my theme song that I would walk to the ring or to whatever to. And quite frankly, Ron, I could see the song being played till the end of time. We can make different versions of it in the future and do kind of dubs over it, but this is the song that I want to be associated with forever. And I'm so grateful for you helping to build my identity with that. And we freaking knocked it out of the park. So kudos to you, my friend.
amazing. I love hearing it. It's the best compliment. And thanks for having me do it, John. I can't tell you.
So now I got to ask you another difficult, contentious question. Number
Yeah.
one, how do you see the chosen lawyer as a music writer? And do I have a future in that industry?
Oh, of course. I'll hook you up with some producers as well and some co-writers, collaborators, and we'll get a hit on the radio.
I'll have to get some gold chains. Obviously, I have to curl out the hair on my chest a little bit even
Ah,
more. And
I'll lend you some and nothing like, some duct tape and some fur.
I gotta the as we're wrapping up today, you touch upon a big one, and this is the want to say one of the best for last. But a lot of your work, as again A&R artists and repertoire, and I assume looking at your body of work and career is also how many people you help grow and make them into their musical abilities and their musical lives. And but you were on there as well as far as, and I was going to ask you, do you miss it all performing? Because I know you're part of jacksoul, and the times you guys had there. Do you ever get that itch to perform, be on stage? How did you see your evolution that way, as far as being a background producer, writer, helping the artist versus being the artist yourself?
Hmm. I think I did the artist thing for a while, and then I was in bands and producing, and I got my creativity out that way. I'm getting to that point in my life now where after really taking a backseat and helping everybody else doing it, I want to find a balance now between helping other artists continue to do that because I really do enjoy it. It's a passion of mine, but I am starting to miss certain elements of a creative side and artistic expression of my own and potentially playing live again. So it's something that in 2023 and beyond, I might see where I'd like to focus that and get some of that back. So I am starting to think about it, starting to manifest those things, and we'll see what 2023 holds. But there might be some stuff happening.
Looking at you, buddy, all I'm thinking is leather pants, keyboard. You could be playing the keyboards and singing, and you could be doing a Doors cover band thing going. And there's a lot of casinos that need talent up there, and I think you could really
Yeah.
knock that one out of the park. Is that a possibility?
The singing might clear the casino, but the rest of it sounds really good to me. So aside from the singing, I'm down. So yes, yes, put
If we could put this Doors cover band together, I'd be very happy to, as the chosen lawyer, be the manager or the wise man, as they would say in wrestling. They always have their
Yep.
their confident guy who walks up to the ring and announces them, and happy to do that. After watching the Elvis movie, remember the Colonel?
Oh yeah. Are you saying
See,
you're the colonel?
see, everybody's watching that movie and like, oh man, I love Elvis, and I'm like, man, I wish I was the Colonel. I love that. I'm the only person that wants to be the Colonel, But seriously, the
That's
Colonel was
funny.
amazing. Except I think he got a raw deal. I don't think it was that bad, but I don't know. I wasn't there. All I can say is that, have you been to Graceland?
I haven't yet. No, some place to go.
I have gone. I was burnt out after finishing law school before I started my illustrious law career, and I did it by going to Graceland. And I gotta tell you, man, I was there all day. I closed out the place. It's freaking awesome. And I'm not a huge Elvis fan. I was a fan, at the end of that tour, everybody who loves music got to get to Graceland at some point or another.
Oh man, I'm going to take that advice.
Trust me. And I believe the Travel Lodge has the best sandwiches if you like smoked meat sandwiches at the Travel Lodge right by Graceland.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Final words today, Ron, for those aspiring musicians, artists, producers, anybody that loves music, is in the music industry, wants to get into the music industry. I mean, it is so tough to crack it. And I hear it is so tough to make a living, especially, with how everything's set up with royalties and everything else. For somebody that loves music and says, you know what, really want to break through, what advice would you give them today, knowing, everything you've experienced over the course of your generational career?
Hmm. Well, first thing is like mindset. The reality is the music is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So to go into it saying, well, it's so tough, you can't do it, whatever, you got to change that mindset going like there's multi-billions of dollars in this industry. How am I going to do that? Right. Number two is like the work ethic and time. You're going to have to devote as much time into that as it would have been to become a lawyer or a doctor or any kind of profession, someone who's an entrepreneur starting their own business. You are an entrepreneur starting your own business. That's how much time you're going to have to devote. It doesn't come easy. It's as much work and as much time, and it takes as much time to do that. So that's another one. Another one is like anything, networking and meeting people, showing them your abilities, always being open to learn, evolve, change, listen, see where your artistry or what your talents can bring. What do people want from you? It might not be always what you first went into, but you'll find where you fit in. And then just work, meet people, be good, like have people want to work with you, bring something to the table, and do that. There is work out there. There is money out there. People are making it, whether it's as a artist, as a writer, as a publisher, as an agent, as a producer, as a label exec, as a I don't know. It's music, multi-billion-dollar industry. You can do it. Anyone can do it, but um, don't think you can do it without educating yourself, without getting to know people, without getting to know what works, and try lots of things. Don't worry about failure. Worry about the successes. Go where the success is going to take you. Keep going on that way. And if you do that, you can make a living. Believe me, you can do it. I know lots of people who do it, but it ain't easy. But John, was it easy to become a lawyer?
Hell no. Hell to the no.
So,
And
so that's why I say it wasn't easy to become a lawyer. I know it's not easy to become a doctor. It's not easy to become a musician or someone in the music industry. In fact, any successful position, it was not easy to get there. It just wasn't. Someone who invented something spectacular, it wasn't easy. I'm sure they worked hard on it to create that product, to get the patent, to market it, to get the right investors, to get the right whatever it is. Work hard, do all those things I said, and you will make it.
besides your future career as a Doors cover band, Jim Morrison clone, I would say you should look into motivational speaking, because I could bring you to literally any organization doing any good or service. And what you just said, I found it very motivating. Like, I'd bring you to the law firm and say this to all the young lawyers. Like, this applies. Like,
So,
shifting the mindset is
John,
love it.
you are hired. You can be my manager. You take 20%. Let's go.
I would call myself the colonel, but that's been taken
30%,
already. So I guess we'll
30
go with the
something.
chosen lawyer then, in that sense.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, at this stage, it's like I do believe in motivation. I do believe in the right proper thinking and the right mindset, the right attitude, and how to get where you want to get to. So I appreciate that coming from you, and I love it. Something I do like to get more into, but it's what I believe, and lots of young people just need maybe to hear it or to be shown the direction. Heaven's this way. Don't go there. Heaven's this way.
It's actually this way.
Oh, actually, this way. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's an
Sorry. Don't
elevator
go
up and
that.
down.
Don't go that way. Go
No,
this way.
don't no. Only go to the penthouse. Don't go to the lower level.
That's it.
I'm very excited as we sum up today that can't say too much about it, but you and I are going to be working on our next project together come 2023. And it is going to be, you mentioned before about the recording of audiobooks, and we're going to be doing an audiobook together because my book is in the process of being edited and written, and very excited for that launch. And we're going to do an audiobook. And a lot of people asked me, they said, are you going to be doing the voice of your book? And I said, well, I kind of do a podcast, so I think my voice is okay. I think that would work well since I know the book and I like speaking. But I said, funny you mentioned Darth Vader, because I said, if James Earl Jones is available and he agrees to do the audiobook, then we're going to bring James Earl Jones. And if James Earl Jones is not available, I'll be number 2 on the list. So still waiting to see.
I actually think you have a really good voice for a podcast, but
if you can hear this voice, why wouldn't you?
I was thinking more Darth Vader, but
I was thinking more, this is CNN. That's the voice I want. But a whole book based on that voice in the CNN voice, don't know if that's going to quite work as well.
Yeah. You have a good voice for it, actually.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, because you and I are going to be spending many hours together in the studio recording the loveliness that will be the book. So
awesome.
Looking forward to that and continuing to build our friendship and brotherhood as more projects come to be. Ron, 2023 is almost upon us now, and start of a new year, and excited for what's going to come in music and everything else. Anything you could share for us in Canadian music, or anything we can look forward to as far as any side little tips?
No, just like, next year, I will be coming out with a project of my own, which you will see. I will let you know, and we can talk about then. But excited about that, and keeping out the taps just until 2023. But doing that, still doing all the stuff I do. Lots of things, everything music centric, and really excited about it. Excited to work with you. Excited to produce some new music, and some more stuff. Have my own project, and I really look forward to it. And John, this is amazing podcast. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. You're a total pro, and I love it.
Oh, appreciate you having you on, and you'll be back, and we're gonna have an exciting new year coming up. Lots of things to look forward to. 2022 at the end of the day was a pretty awesome year, and I'm looking forward to 2023. It's going to be spectacular. Ron, love you, man. Appreciate you. It's so great that we got to put music out to the world, that someone's going to type in Chosen Lawyer into Spotify, Apple Music, and they're going to see that there until the end of time. So keep downloading, people, and keep listening to it. And as part of it, we pull out our guns as we finish off the interview, and we say, keep living the chosen life.
Let's go.